The minimum wage is rising, but don't get too excited. Here's why it still won't cover life in the UK.
The national minimum wage has hit record-breaking numbers with the biggest cash increase yet. As you can see, 21 and over, £12.21 an hour, 18 to 20, £10 an hour, under 18 and apprentices both on £7.55 an hour. But here's why it doesn't really mean that much. You see, the people of this country aren't thick. The price of rent, the price of food, the cost of living in general is getting out of hand. So although they'll plaster these numbers everywhere, it actually doesn't mean that much for you moving forward. It's still too expensive to live in England. I mean, don't get me wrong, there are ways to save and invest your money every single month, but it is becoming increasingly hard to do that, especially if you've got a family to take care of. They've also frozen the personal tax-free allowance as well, so that means more and more people are going to be dragged into paying more tax. This is something known as fiscal drag. Most of the population won't even know this is happening to them, but it's a sneaky way that the government can make us pay more tax. Look, I try and stay as positive as I can. If this didn't happen, we'd all be screwed, but this is probably one of the most important times ever to learn personal finance and everything that goes along with it. So if you do want to learn more about personal finance, follow my page for more content exactly like this.
Minimum wage isn't stat about luxury, it's stats about survival. Let stats break down why today's stats wages still leave people struggling.
I sound so stupid. Y'all sound mad stupid. And before you even comment, go look up what the purpose of minimum wage was. Matter of fact, I'll tell you. Minimum wage was to keep people from being in poverty, from being poor. Minimum wage does not equal poor. It's supposed to keep you from being poor. Do you understand that? If we wanted to match the minimum wage accounting for productivity and inflation, all that, from the 1960s, 1970s, we would have to pay $20 to $30 an hour. Bare minimum. To match how it was when you compare prices, productivity, and inflation from the 1960s to today. You have to think about that. You have to. And a livable wage is where you could put a roof on top of your head, food on the table, clothes on your back, healthcare. I don't know why we pay for healthcare. That is the most stupidest shit I've ever heard of, right? And other things that you just need to do the bare minimum. But I'm be honest, those four are probably the bare minimum. And probably transportation, whether you take a bus, whether you drive and get car insurance, all that. Like, you have to think. You have to think about the needs of the people and how much they actually need to bring in to match and actually be out of poverty. That is the whole point of minimum wage. And to address the comment I seen earlier, an apartment is not a luxury. I would more say a house is. An apartment is not a luxury. As long as you have the ability to put a roof on top of your head, that is not a luxury. If you are not able to, then you are in poverty. That's the difference. In a luxury mansion, maybe like a 5-bedroom, 4-bathroom, that sounds like a luxury. But if you got your 2-bedroom, 1-bathroom, like that's enough that you need.
If you don't pay people a livable wage, the entire system starts to crumble. Literally.
Think of society like a pyramid. Unskilled labor is at the bottom, and the higher you go, the more skilled it becomes. Do you know how pyramids work? When you take off the bottom of the pyramid, the entire pyramid falls apart? Do you know that if you don't pay the bottom of the pyramid a livable wage, they will do one of two things. They will die, or they will leave. Both of those things destroy the bottom of the pyramid, and the pyramid falls apart. Your simile is bad, and you should feel bad.
Salaries in the UK are low, no matter how you slice it. Even people earning decent money are still struggling. Here sips the reality.
Can we really just be honest with ourselves here? Like, the salaries in London or in the UK are generally like really, really low. Like, collectively, most people do not earn enough money. Even when you see people who are on 60k, 70k, 100k, and they're complaining about the cost of living crisis, it's all relative. And you, if you're earning like 30k, 40k, should equally be complaining, because it's too low. It's way too low. Like, it's crazy that we are able to like live with these kind of salaries. Like, we should all be demanding more money. 100%. Like, it just really stresses me out when I see videos of people who post salaries and they're making decent money and they're still saying like, oh, you know, they could be earning more, or they complain about the cost of things like childcare. And people on less salaries are like, oh, well, I'm managing on 30K. Bro, you shouldn't be managing on 30K. You should be asking for more money. Let's all collectively earn more money. How about that?
The average UK salary sounds okay, but in reality, it's not enough to raise a family or enjoy life. Here's why.
The average salary in the UK is £37,000 a year. It's impossible to raise a family, pay rent or mortgage, and pay your bills, as well as having a decent quality of life on that salary. No wonder everyone here is depressed. Average salary is even misleading because not everyone's earning that. Most people are going to be closer to the bottom of the statistics as well. In the UK, you want to have a family, 6 to 12 months emergency savings, go on holiday at least once a year and invest for your children's future. You can't do that on the average salary. Wanting to earn above average does not make you greedy in the UK. It's a necessity. But most of the time, we don't have that kind of ambition. And when we see people have ambition, we look at it like it's greed. We don't like it. I don't know why. Most people should want to earn more. But instead of hearing someone saying, oh, I want to earn more and helping them, normally we like to say, oh, well, you know, other people aren't earning as much as you. That's not productive. That doesn't help anybody get further. You need at least like 40, 50, 60. You need way more than the average to achieve all of those things.
While the UK government hikes their own salaries, everyday people are left fighting to survive.
So our amazing UK government has just voted themselves to give themselves a pay rise. Now imagine a world where you're at work and you think, do you know what? I think we deserve a pay rise, people. Why don't we give ourselves a pay rise and no one can say nothing about it? What a fantastic world that would be, because they've just decided to vote to give themselves a pay rise of around £7,000 extra per year, which will put them on just shy of £93,000 per year. 93 grand a year, and they pay for nothing. We pay for their food, we pay for their travel, we pay for their second homes. It is ridiculous, man. What do they possibly deserve a pay rise for with the state that they have put this country currently in? Now, for you and I to get a pay rise at work, you usually have to be doing a good job. You have to excel in your job, in your profession, in your career. You have to impress your higher-ups. You have to do something of value to the company for the boss to turn around and think, do you know what? You deserve a pay rise. You deserve some recognition for your hard work. But our politicians send this country into the ground. They don't give a shit about the people. They only care about themselves and money. They don't care about the people that are struggling, the little people at the bottom of the food chain. You're nothing to them. They do nothing to help you. What they elected to do, they have not achieved. And as a thanks to themselves for not achieving it, they've given themselves a pay rise. The corruption of politics and government is insane. But I'll tell you one thing, people. If you're passionate, if you're outspoken, if you've got opinions, if you think you can make positive change and you're a little bit clued up, maybe on politics, law, things like that, anything that could be, you could transfer to the world of politics. An MP is the job to be, because you can vote for your own damn pay rise. You can earn 93 grand a year to fall asleep in the House of Commons and get a little fine for going to sleep. If I went to work and fell asleep, I'd get the sack. Oh, Jesus Christ. Just another day in mad Britain, eh? As always, peace and love from me, guys. Don't forget to like, share and follow for more content.
People say raising minimum wage is socialism, but who really benefits from low wages?
Don't understand. You don't understand. The people telling you that having a livable minimum wage is socialism and communism, and we are capitalists, and that's the best, and we gotta let corporations do whatever the hell they want, because eventually they'll pay us enough to live, are the same people who prospered by having a livable minimum wage. They're the same people. And they're stealing from us, and we're doing nothing. And y'all are sitting there defending them, talking about, well, if minimum wage goes up, then the prices are just going to go up. Not if we cap them. Not if we tell them they can't price gouge us, so that way they can make more money that they don't need. They're already rich. They don't need more. They're not even spending their own money now. They're not. They're getting loans for shit, and then when they fail, they get those loans forgiven by our government, so they're using our tax dollars. They're not using their own goddamn money. Put caps on them. Make them stop. Put a cap on how much you can earn in 1 year. It's insane. Y'all keep defending this bullshit while people are out there dying. They're arresting homeless people, even though it costs $1,200 a month to live in a tiny ass apartment in rural Oklahoma. It's insane. Wake up.
£34,000 sounds like a lot, but in London, it barely scratches the surface. Here's the reality.
Can you also blind yourself that you think £34,000 is a good salary to be earning in the UK or in London? Let's set the record straight. £34,000 is a starting salary, not a livable salary. And by that, I mean something that you should not be on for more than a year or so. I know this is controversial and I know that this is going to get hate, but quite frankly, people in this country have a severe problem where they think of a livable salary and you do not want to be living on your salary. Let's break it down. £34,000 after tax, national insurance, student loans and any other deductions you have, it's about £2,200 a month. If you're working in London, rent is minimum £1,000 a month, plus council tax and other bills, you're talking maybe £1,300, £1,400 a month, okay? That is more than half of your salary. That's not even food, transport, commuting costs. If you're a family and you have children, you're probably going to be spending closer to £4,000 a month, and you're earning £2,200 and you think that's a good salary?
Here's a good one. Here's a good one. So people who work for these big firms are always kicking off with the unions, going into union meetings. We want a bigger pay rise. Every single year, they want the biggest pay rise they can possibly get. 2%'s not enough, 3%'s not enough, they want 6, 7%. But they don't realise that every time these pay rises are accepted for all these big firms in the UK, I'm talking about the UK now, I don't care about anywhere else. Every time one is accepted and it's paid out, yeah, things get more expensive. And not everybody gets a pay rise every year, or not everybody gets a pay rise of 5 or 6%. So go back to the Aldi shop and the Lidl shop of the rant yesterday about food prices going through the roof. I hope you're all happy with your little 5 or 6% pay rises, because it's everyone else over. Just do a hard day's graft for a decent amount of money, and that's it.
$35K for a senior role? In London, that barely covers rent. Here's the reality of UK wages today.
This comment says UK pay as a whole is pretty bad at the moment. Inflation is going quicker than wage rises. Some people, apparently yourself, are lucky to still get a good wage, but there's so many more struggling. You know, I think if you have a job and you've been in your career for a couple of years now, you don't actually realize how bad the UK job market is. It's only when I come on TikTok, make these style of videos, and I see comments from people who are actively searching for jobs right now. It's not uncommon for me to see 50 comments from people who are talking about their experiences with the UK job market right now and the fact that it's in absolute pieces. And it's not only that, but it's these senior positions that are paying like 30, even £35,000 a year. These are senior positions that they want you to jump through all these hoops to get and have qualifications and master's degrees and bachelor's degrees and all these types of things. But you're only going to pay someone £35,000. I mean, based on that wage in London, you wouldn't be able to get anywhere. In some places, you wouldn't even be able to qualify for the rental payment on a studio flat or even a HMO. So there would be some areas of London that you couldn't afford to live in a room sharing with 5 other people in a house on a £35,000 salary that you have to go to uni for, that you have to get a master's for, and that you have to have experience in. That to me is utterly crazy. Like, it shouldn't ever get that bad. But the fact that they're comfortable putting these salaries this low means that there's people that are going to be applying for these positions. Put yourself in an employer's shoes. You're all out for profit. You want to make as much money as possible, and you basically exist to satisfy your shareholders. Why would you want to pay any more? And I don't blame them, because there's no incentives, there's no one saying no, the government's stepping in with universal credit and topping up poor wages. It's just a whole mess right now with the UK job market.
£11.44 an hour in 2025 isn't enough to live on. Let's break down why the UK minimum wage still leaves people struggling.
£11.44 an hour in 2025. You think that's enough to survive? It's a damn insult. Should the UK minimum wage be raised to beat poverty and the cost of living crisis? The government loves to pat itself on the back for raising the minimum wage. But here's the truth, it's nowhere near enough. People are working full time and still using food banks. Bills through the roof, rent out of control, and you're supposed to live on £11 an hour. You can't even get a packet of fags for that. Let's talk numbers. The Real Living Wage Foundation says people need £12 to £14 an hour just to cover the basics, but the government says nah, £11.44 will do. Meanwhile, MPs just got another pay rise. CEOs are earning 200 times more than their staff, but it's the cleaners, carers, retail workers, delivery drivers, the people holding this country together who are left scrapping coins. This isn't an accident, it's a political choice. They can find billions for dodgy deals, tax breaks for oil companies and fancy dinners in Parliament, but they won't lift working people out of poverty. That's what this is, poverty created and maintained by a system that rewards the rich and punishes the rest of us. Raising the minimum wage to a real living wage isn't radical, it's common sense. People deserve to live, not just to survive. If you work full time in this country, you shouldn't be broke. End of story. So here's a question. Should the minimum wage go up to match the cost of living? Or are we just expected to shut up and keep struggling while the rich cash in? Full-time workers are still broke. Should the UK raise the minimum wage to end poverty? Leave your comment below.
£26,250 was a job ad I just saw for a graphic designer on 42 hours a week. What? 42 hours a week for £26,000. I mean, that is not my job role and I'm not in that industry, so I don't know why I care. But it was on LinkedIn and it was like this amazing opportunity, like it's a really fun role, all these perks. How about the perks is you pay them properly? £26,000 for a qualified, they wanted a degree, a qualified graphic designer. What's going on with the job market? It was in Kent, I think, as well. So it's not like it's in an area of the country where maybe like wages aren't as high. Oh, I kind of want to find it again, see if anyone's commented to be like, is your salary okay?
Can we actually talk about how diabolical, and I do not use that word lightly, the salaries are in the UK at the moment? They are insane. Somebody on LinkedIn last week advertised very openly for a marketing manager or a social media manager, and the salary was 30 grand. And I said, quite rightly, I just put in the comments, genuine question, can someone on 30 grand a year afford to live in London and go into the office 5 days a week? Maybe it wasn't 5 days, maybe it was 3 days. I'm not 100% sure, but I know that the answer is no. If you're taking home 2 grand a month, there is not a cat in hell's chance that you can afford to commute on a train into an office in London 3, 4, 5 days a week. You just can't. It's mental. I know someone who did a full day's work with Yodel. Yodel, all the delivery companies, you're classed as self-employed. So if you're classed as self-employed, the UK legal minimum wage doesn't apply if you're registered self-employed. So these companies are getting around this, getting around paying people minimum wage and literally paying people £40 for a 12-hour shift. £40, like what the fuck are you supposed to do with £40 in the year 2025? Like you sneeze, walk out of the door and sneeze, £40 is gone. Like it's literally insane.
So over 21, you're working in the UK, you're working 48 hours a week, the maximum amount of hours you can work a week, and you're on national living wage. Your take-home pay for the month is £1,750, rounded a little bit. The area I live in, south of England, small city, relatively inexpensive compared to the surrounding cities. It is cheap compared to surrounding costs. The flat is £850 per month for a one-bed unfurnished flat. That is the cheapest I could find. And then council tax. The flat was council tax band B. That's £145 in the constituency I live. Wrong word. But you know what I mean. The place I live is £145. And then you've got average electricity and gas, which is between £100 and £150 for a single person. We'll say you're on the lower end, 100. And then you've got Wi-Fi, 40. Phone bill, 30. Water, 40. Then you've got a car payment. You need your car to get to and from work, but you couldn't pay it up front, so you've got finance on it. You've got finance, you've got insurance, you've got fuel costs. That averages in the UK to about £400 per month. That alone takes you up to £1,605. You've got £145 left. The average monthly food bill, like food grocery shop in the UK, is £190. You are over budget at that point. You are over the monthly amount you make. What can you do? And sure, probably could cut some of these costs down, but these are the average costs of things in the UK. These are what people are paying on average. How are you meant to cut some of these down? That's not including things like gym memberships or other necessities that aren't really necessities but make life worth living. There is no money left for savings within that budget. That's not even including subscription services, TV license, whatever. There's no budget for leisure, there's no budget for going out for dinner, there's nothing there. A person should be able to make national living wage and be able to save, for sure, but the issue isn't the person making national living wage.